It still says, well, good morning, almost afternoon, everybody. I'm Tracy Williams, and I have with me a special guest. Well, she's special to me, Miss Marilyn Chappell today. Yay. We're a
Yay.
little late, but
Hello.
we're here.
Hello. We made it.
So, welcome to the Self Care Saturday Show. Today, we're going to be talking to you about a very important topic, and that is all about the money. I mean, who is not all about the Benjamins, baby? If you're not, then you need to be. Okay, especially during this time, it's really important that we have our money, we manage our money, and we learn how to make our money work for us and not just continue to exchange our time for our money. But I'm really excited about a great announcement that she has. Like, I almost want to spill it, but I'm going to let her spill it today instead of me doing that. But make sure that you invite somebody, you tag somebody, you share this because sharing is caring. And we're all about sharing and caring, right? This is a great time to do that. Um, so let me tell you a little bit about Miss Marilyn Chappell today. Marilyn, she is my accountability partner. She keeps me straight when it comes to my finances, right? So every week, the same time every week, I call her up a certain time. We haven't changed it. I think we began a couple of months ago, right, Marilyn?
Yes.
Yes. And I just give her, what I've done for that week, whether I achieve my goal or I fell short of the goal. So either way, I'm keeping myself accountable, and that is one good tip y'all get for free. Boom. Okay, so Marilyn, absolutely love and adore this lady. She is a fun lady, but she's also like really smart and savvy, knows her stuff when it comes to finances. She's really good at explaining it to you if you have nothing to do with finances, or if you're like that finance budget type of girl, which I used to not be, but now I'm totally that budget finance type of girl, being fully accountable. But and she's also a woman of prayer. She's a mom. She used to be a VP at at a bank, and I think that's really important. Credible, really makes her credible. But even more importantly than that, you guys, she has started a not-for-profit. It's called Exceed Expectations Inc. Don't y'all love that? Exceed your expectation. Because isn't that exactly what God does? He always goes exceedingly and abundantly above anything that we can ask or think. And I know a lot
Right.
of us have like really big, huge imagination. I got a big imagination. So I want to see the goodness of the Lord while I'm in the land of the living. So I'm going to give you today my girl, Marilyn Chappell. And then in a little bit, we'll also have a special guest, another special guest come on. She's a surprise guest. So if you have kids and they're even thinking about, wanting to sell something or make something, you need to have them watch this. Okay. So now, if you're watching this with the replay, make sure that you put in the comment box #replay so that we know that you came in. All right. So Marilyn, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I am honored to be on your show.
Great. And I'm excited about you being here. So can you tell us a little bit about how did this whole exceeds expectation come about?
Absolutely. So, at the end of 2016, God blessed me to be able to resign from my position as vice president at a credit union and to work alongside my husband. And it's an we own an electrical contracting business. So we are like 95% commercial, 5% residential. And so I do all of the accounting, all of the operations. And, I work behind the scenes with Chappell Electric. And so my husband always told me that, don't stop pursuing your passion, because he knows that I have a passion, a love for finances, a love for educating people toward their financial goals and achieving them. And so that's when God birthed exceeds expectations in me, right? Um, like you had stated, the scripture is Ephesians 3:20 is the um, scripture that inspired me to name my nonprofit organization Exceeds Expectations. So it's not me, but it is God that exceeds our expectations. So as long as we keep him in the front, keep him in the center and in the midst of everything that we do, that he can exceed our expectations no matter what is before us, right? So he'll be
Right.
able to allow us to overcome. And that's what Exceeds Expectations is all about. We help you to overcome financial barriers, mindsets that keep you from achieving and attaining the goals that you have set for you and your family. And so that's what we're all about. We want to inspire you and inspire financial stability as well as personal growth. And so that's what Exceeds Expectations is all about.
Awesome. Well, I love that you started something. You were working a regular job and depending on that paycheck, and many of us do that weekly, every week or every other week or once a month, we're gonna get that paycheck. And but a lot of times we leave it right there and we don't take that courage, that step to just say, hey, I'm gonna do this leap by faith. And you know what? I would say step by faith, but like it's not about that anymore. So you just gotta get to the edge and just jump in.
You really
Otherwise,
do.
you start, like you said, with that poverty mindset, like should I, should not, or I'm gonna wait till everything is just right, and I got to do one more thing, or let me get this done first, and I got too many other things over here. So I have come to the conclusion that every reason that we have not to start meeting our goals and living our dream life is either a reason or an excuse. So which one is it for you? Is it a reason or excuse that you're not fulfilling that dream, that you just put that thing back on the shelf and said, I'll get to it later, or I'm gonna get to it, when things get better, or da da da. So this is exciting, Marilyn. Again, I want to say thank you because I know what a treat it is to have you today. And so if you guys need any help with your finances, I encourage you to reach out to Marilyn. Of course, she's on Facebook under her name, Marilyn Chappell. And then also she's has a page up, Exceeds Expectations, Inc. And you know what? Every Monday morning, faithfully, every Monday morning, I know this for sure because I get off the phone with her at 8:59. And then at 9 o'clock sharp, she's on Facebook Live giving some really helpful tips that will just help you practically in your day-to-day walk and journey, to walk out your finances and increase them, to manage them and make sure that you get what you have. So you don't have to worry about, when something comes up and you lose your job for maybe 2 months, you have that extra cash somewhere that you don't have to worry about paying your bills pretty much. So with that being said, she does a lot. So, and I love it that they have a family business and she's working alongside her husband and still pursuing her dreams. So don't use that for an excuse. I got to help my husband. And when I get this off the ground, then I'm going to do my thing. Okay. So enough being said about that. So tell us a little bit, because we were talking a little bit about Oscars. So tell me a little bit about Oscars. And I'm going to say that a
Yeah.
couple of times. You guys can remember Oscar.
Yes. So I am going to share with you what Oscar is, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money that we make. If we haven't learned how to manage our money, then we'll never have enough. At least that's how we would feel, right? And so you'll
Right.
begin to start chasing money because you keep telling yourself, it's a mind thing. You keep telling yourself that I don't have enough. So a lot of times we have to take that step back. We have to reevaluate, and we have to get back to the basics. And for some people, you may not even know what the basics is. So I am here today to share what the basics is. And so I use an acronym called OSCAR. So the O stands for order. You must have your house in order. Yes,
Mm,
have your house in order. God first, family second, career third. It took me a long time to come to that, that family is God first, family second, career third. I was a woman who pursued, was always climbing the ladder. And believe me, I did. I always, everything that I set my mind to, I accomplished, and I was climbing that ladder. But what was falling to the wayside was giving my daughter attention, the attention that she needed. And so there was one day I actually came home from work. I was working at a bank at this point. I was a branch manager at US Bank. And I was there until about 7 o'clock because I was trying to finish up some stuff to get prepared for the next day. And what ended up happening is I came home. And my daughter was standing on the top stair, excited to see me. And when I came through the door, I asked her, just give me a couple minutes just to come down because I had a long day. That was my wake up. Because when I came down and thought about what I actually just did, that was my wake up call. And so from that moment on, I made sure that I prioritized, what was important in my life. God first, family second, career third. And so the next one is S, stewardship. Oh, that's a good one. Stewardship. We must be a good steward over what God has entrusted us with, right? So whether it's money, whether it's your family, whether it's business, be a good steward over what He has entrusted you with. So even with money, be a good steward over the little, and He'll make you ruler over much, right? That's what the word says. Matthew 25:21 says, be faithful over a few things. And then some says little, right? And God will make you ruler over many things or much. And so that means whatever He blessed you with, you make sure you're a good steward over it. Make sure that you're a good steward over it. And so that's where you really.
I got a question.
Okay.
Got a question. So, because I know that word steward before you start preaching. Sometimes the word steward is a hard word for us to understand and put in practical terms. So what are just like some every day or every month steward things? Like, what does that mean? Break that down for us a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm glad you stopped me because I get excited when I start talking about finances, as you can see. So you do got to slow me down. So yeah, a good steward is basically just prioritizing your money. And so we can start with a tool called a budget, knowing what's coming in and knowing what's going out, but prioritizing where your 10%, your first 10% goes. So off top, when you get paid, tithe. Give. That's what we should be doing. Tithe. And then after tithes, pay yourself. Pay yourself can look like putting money in a savings account, but pay yourself because you will never be broke if you pay yourself, right? And a lot of times we pay ourselves last. But then pay your bill.
Or we don't pay ourselves at all, and that's how we end up with nothing. But I love that principle because that's exactly what the government does. So young kids that are watching this, teenagers, when you get that big check and then you like, FICA, who is FICA?
Right.
And they take out their stuff first. So you have to do the same thing. So great tip.
Yeah. And so, and sometimes it's not easy if you're trying to break different habits, right? But take one step at a time. And once you get to the point that where you don't start missing, what you've been setting aside, because sometimes when we pay ourselves, we think we got to pay ourselves $100 out of each paycheck. We want this big number, right? Because we want to get to somewhere quickly. But you start where you are. Start where you are with what you have. And even if it means just start with $5, you start with $5. And then you'll get to the point where you're not missing that. And then you may increase it to 15. You may increase it to 20. But you just continue to keep challenging yourself. So the key there is make sure you have a goal so you know where you're trying to go.
Amen.
So the next letter is C, it's capacity. Yes, capacity. And so capacity is basically, you have to know how much room do you have for certain things? How much can you hold, you can deal with, so what can you get involved with that is not going to make you get out of order, right? You remember we talked about order. What can you, your decision making has to align with the vision and the mission of your household. And so I like to always say, and this is going back to order, set that vision for your household. Have a mission statement for your household. If you do that, then when it comes to capacity, you'll know what you can afford. You'll know what you have time for, and you just know how to set boundaries because they're going to be right in alignment with your vision and your mission for your home, right? Because
Yes.
anything that starts to bring chaos, I always say it's not of God, because God is not a God of chaos, but he is a God of order. And so if we just keep that in mind, I believe that we'll know our capacity levels at all times to when and know when to say yes and when to say no. And so
Right.
just remember, everything that you say yes to, or everything that you say no to, you're making room for the yes for what God has for you to do.
Yes, I love that. I used to have a friend that always said, don't always buy your wants. That way you can always buy your needs. And I think a lot of times when we first start working and getting them paychecks, we get excited. We start spending before we even get it. So our eyes get
Absolutely.
big, like, ooh, I can get this and this and this. And it's like, then then you get the paycheck and you're like, oh, FICA came in here, Social
Yeah.
Security didn't come in.
Well, and then that goes back to stewardship, because when you create a budget, your budget really should be in alignment with your goals. And
Right.
so that right there brings me to my next letter, which is A, accountability. That budget is going to hold you accountable. It's going to hold you accountable. And usually, and I would say this because some people are probably like, well, my budget is not holding me accountable because it's not working. It takes usually about 3 months before you actually find that sweet spot with a budget. And so you have to be willing and committed to readjusting where needed. And first, identify. You got to acknowledge and identify when something is not working and be willing to go back to the drawing board and readjust. And so, a lot of times, we can be distracted and get off course when we fail to not readjust, when we fail to
Right.
not take the time. Because, yes, it takes time, but
Mm.
it's good time. It's managing your time and managing your money that is going to help you withstand the course. And also
Yeah.
with accountability is that you want to make sure that you have a circle of influence to have to um, help you be accountable as well. That's
Yeah.
always good. Somebody that you can trust with your vision, because you can't tell your vision to everybody, but you could tell them your vision and your financial goals, and then they can remind you, right? They can ask you
Yeah.
periodically, where do you stand? What do you need help with to help you reach those to achieve those goals?
And I love that about accountability because I've always found that if it's only me and my budget or me and my husband, nobody knows if, I'm finding all these surprises in my bank account. I call them like, hold on, I didn't spend $200 here and $50 there, because it's not as easy to see when you're not using cash every day. But
Yeah,
when you're using like your debit card, or what makes it even harder is if you have purchases on your phone and you
yeah,
using that Apple Pay, you don't actually see it coming out. So it's not the same. So we have to really be mindful of, just keeping track. And so that's why one of my best things was to say, hey, I need an accountability partner. And I just called Marilyn one day and say, hey, I need somebody to hold me accountable, you know. And so I got so much more out of that, and I know a lot of times we feel like I don't want to tell somebody my business, but I think that when you hit a certain level of maturity, it's okay to start being open and
vulnerable.
vulnerable. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm okay with being an open book. Now, of course, when I was like 25 or 20 or even 30, I wasn't okay with being an open book, but that just meant that I had some personal work to do with me, right? So
absolutely.
I'm
That's
just saying
good.
that, so if there's a person out there that says, I don't need an accountability partner, well then, you need to ask yourself this question. Do you really want to be, are you really committed to taking yourself to the next level of finances that could be possible for your life? And not that everybody needs that, but definitely if you have a youngster that wants to start doing something, they need to be accountable to parents. But you talked about the circle of influence. A lot of times we don't know who to look to. So can you give us an idea of like where can we find, different people, that may, be a good influence for us if we don't have a good influence in our lives?
Sure.
So tell me about that.
Good question. So I believe that a circle of influence are definitely people that you admire, people who are doing things that you want to eventually do, people who are where you may want to be, right? So they might be, somewhere
Yes.
further than you, but you want to learn from them, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
for some people, it might just be, prayer. There might, it might be a prayer warrior where that can be your, or you're able to identify who is that person that can speak into my life, that I can come in agreement with and know that we have kindred spirits, right? I mean, so that's what center of influence can be. People that you trust to help you get to where you want to be, and not trying to compete with you, but will help you and support you and uplift you at any time that that you call, right? And of course you
Yep.
want to be mindful, but who is just willing to help you, get to where you want to be. And I want to go back to something that you had stated when you were talking about accountability, and you were talking about you know knowing your what's coming in and what's going out, and being able to manage that, and whether it's through an app or whether it's manually writing it down and looking at your bank account every night. When you're married, it's so important that you're on one accord. And I believe that is like the number one key in a marriage is communication. Is communication. And when
Oh,
it comes to finances, it even heightens, right? Because finances is an area where a lot of people, they want to sweep under the rug, right? If we don't have to talk about it, we don't need to talk about it tonight, right? And that's something that you'll keep pushing back, right? But you got to keep it in the forefront. And let me tell you, that goes back to order, because
woo.
not too often do we sit at our tables, even with our children, and talk about finances, right? And so I know when I was growing up, that wasn't something that we talked about at the table, but we talk about that now, right? And so that we have
Yes,
to, when we learn to do better, when we know better, we do better, right?
that's
And so we
right.
teach that to our children to where they're not scared to talk about money. And so, we have a lot of times where we're afraid to talk about money and discuss it, whether it's negative circumstance, whether it's a positive circumstance. Now, it's easy to talk about it when all things are good. Things are, straining you, right?
Yeah,
Stretching you. It's hard to talk about, but that's one thing that I teach, is how to have those tough conversations, how to get everybody involved. And that is key. It's getting everybody involved when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your house goals. When it comes to your business goals, you must be able to communicate about finances and
that's
overcome
right.
those hard conversations. The last one is required. So we went over order, O for order, S for stewardship, C for capacity, 8 for accountability, R for required. Order, stewardship, capacity, accountability is required. And so Luke 12:48 says, "To much is given, much will be required."
Right, right.
Much will be required. You're not going to be able to do everything that everybody else is doing, right? Because once
Mm-hmm.
you set those goals, once you create a budget, once you are on one accord with your family, with order, God first, family second, career third. Once you decide that, hey, I'm gonna start a business, there's going to be decisions that you're going to have to make that is in alignment with your assignment. That's right. Decisions that you're going to have to make that is in alignment with your assignment, which means that you have to learn how to say no to things that are a distraction, that you
That's
might
right.
have to say no to some of the things that are going to take time and your energy away from what really matters, right?
Right.
So sometimes that's a hard thing to do. And then sometimes things become heavy because the more that we have that is on our plate, we begin to get tired or discouraged at times because not every day is going to be a great day when it comes to really pursuing that thing that you really want to do. But
Right.
with God, all things are possible. And so those are the things that you got to do to encourage yourself, that, hey, I'm going to make it through this day. It's hard. The things that are in front of me is not easy, but God is going to make a way. You encourage yourself and then you teach your children. And let me tell you, when you begin to start telling yourself that and you begin to start walking it out and in action, your kids see you. Your kids see how you respond to adversity. Your kids see how you respond to challenges. And
That's
so
right.
it's just exciting when as you could tell when it comes to finances, because I believe our first ministry is in our home.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
so important that because the way we respond and the kids see us respond and other people see us respond, especially if you're in business, then you definitely are a leader. The way you respond, it helps build their money blueprint. So it helps them know this is what I think about money. Whether it's a limited or I got a budget or I can't get it because of this and I can't get it because of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm really grateful that you were here and to talk about that today. I'm kind of and finances, all of that really is exciting to me too. So there's a lot I could say. So I'm gonna try not
Yeah.
to like go into that. Yeah, but I'm really grateful because that my money blueprint was changed because like when my first kids, I didn't have that scarcity type of mindset. Like we run out of things. I have faith for other things, but I didn't have faith for money. But I had to learn that through my faith, it didn't always take money to get the things that you need or to open up doors for you to go places and do the things that need to be done for you. But I do believe this for sure that wherever there is a vision, there God
Yeah.
makes provision for that. And that's not just a saying, it takes something to really get to that point where you believe it, like
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. So like those times that you get discouraged and you get to feeling down, so instead of, and I'll just talk about me. So instead of me getting all discouraged and like, okay, I'm just gonna go eat me some candy, or I'm just gonna go buy this or buy that, or go shopping,
Yeah.
da, 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 all of that, and then spending that money and then come back disappointed, like, man, I could have had X amount of more money in my bank account for this. Then I
Yeah.
have an accountability partner that says, and you know what? It's not that she's saying, okay, so you messed up, you did this. It's just that, hey, she gives me all these other ideas of things that I can do or better ways that I can do it. And then resources and connections. I mean, just all kind of stuff comes out of relationships. So like you'll go in for one thing and then you'll come out for something way different just because of being obedient. And so that kind of ties in the same thing with Oscar, right? Because all
That's
of it is
it.
required. If we can follow Oscar, right? OSCAR, if we can follow all of those things. And if you missed it, then go back and watch this on the replay for sure. Then know that all these things are required so we can get to where we need to be doing what we need to do. And then when times of pandemic or any kind of stressors come up, changes or losses, emergencies, we'll have like an emergency fund that we can go over here and we can pull from this, and we won't have to stress out at the same time of how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to keep a roof over my head? We can follow Oscar and get it done. So with that being said, I'm excited about the next thing that Marilyn has coming up, you guys. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay,
Yeah.
Marilyn. So this
Yes.
is exciting to me because it encourages our next generation of youngsters that are coming up, right? And so I'm gonna let her just tell you all about it.
Yeah.
I
So yeah,
calm
thank
down.
you. Yeah, so I'm excited too, Tracy. So before I share that, we actually our services, we go into the prisons and we teach a financial curriculum as well as we do on the outside. And so we're real big with family stability, right? And
Mhm.
so We do that as well as we do one-on-ones with individuals and definitely married couples. So when you're married, I'm always asking, is your spouse on board? And then I do coaching with them as well. And so when God put in my spirit for this next venture, I just knew exactly that it was all about family and making sure that our home is our first ministry. And
For
so
sure. For sure.
so what Tracy is so excited about, as well as myself, is that we are beginning a youth financial leadership program beginning June 29th through July 15th. So it's going to be 2 days a week, which is Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 o'clock to 8:45. Now, I know you're saying that's late, but it's still light outside. And so because it's for the youth, at ages 14 through 21, they're still up. And when they're still up, they're probably on their phones texting or on some type of social media. So 8 to 8:45 is a great time to be able to dive into really creating that money mindset, right? And not to where we're focusing so much on money, but more on the mindset, more on the behaviors and the habits, and really being aware of our behaviors and habits around money, getting them interested as well as comfortable with talking about money, but also talking about their goals and making sure that every step that they take lines up with where they're going. And that's very crucial from 14 to 21, right? And so they can begin young. And so in the summertime, or before the summer, because we're entering into summer, I'm getting ahead of myself. But during the pandemic, I would say, my daughter, she actually was about to get hired at a ice cream shop. Well, before they actually begin to start closing retail stores and stuff like that, she went to the interview, they told her they wanted to hire her, but he needed to wait until Friday because they didn't know what their next steps were going to be. Well, she got a call on Friday and they said that they were going to be closing their stores temporarily due to the pandemic, and due to the stay-at-home order, and so that they'll call her after. And so I asked her, what did you learn from that? And so when she was able to tell me that it's never promising, to get a job when it's somebody else that you're looking to work for, I was like, you got it. And so she had already started a business, but she wasn't 100% at that point, right? And so, yeah. And so she realized then that, you know what, I can make money. I can make money. I can have my own business and be my own employer, right?
That's
And
right.
make money. I can make money on myself, on my own. And the sky is the limit, right?
I love it. That's
The
like
sky
my
is the
daddy
limit.
used to say, if nobody will give you a job, create your own
Create it.
job.
There you
Find
go.
your problem and then solve it. And you got some money, honey. I was like, okay, I like that.
So yeah, so she has learned a lot, during with her business, and she's still going strong. And
Mhm.
that's what led me to the youth financial leadership program, because like I said, your home is your first ministry. So once you've created that and you establish order and stability there, now go teach it to others. Go teach it
Okay,
to
so
others.
Marilyn, tell us, where are you going to be having these classes at?
These classes are going to be online. They're going to be virtual. So at first they were going to be at Nonprofit Village because that's where our office is. But we really want to make sure that everybody stays healthy and safe. And so we're
Okay.
going to be online. We're going to be on Zoom and we're going to do it virtually. And so
Okay.
that's how we're
Sounds
going to
good.
be.
Now, how can they get in contact with you? What's the best way for them to find that information for the Zoom room?
Absolutely. And so you can actually register your 14-year-old to 21-year-old. You can register them at letsexceed.org/programs-events. And so I can actually type that in for you.
Okay.
So then, oh, you did? Okay. Let's exceed.org/programs dash events. That will lead you to our website to where you can actually register your child. It's $25. It includes a curriculum. They're going to have a hands-on curriculum. And then for $15, you can get a t-shirt that says, together we can exceed expectations, and hashtag learn before you earn.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that idea. Learn before you earn. That sounds like a movement, that our young people really need to have. It's like, let's earn this money and let's learn what we got to learn instead of just running out here getting
There
ideas and
you
just doing
go.
all kind of stuff.
And that
Yeah.
way you're
This is
saving on
very
purpose.
exciting. Now we
And I want to allow Brianna to actually to say hi. I know that right now she's actually sewing, so I'm going to actually take her away. So,
okay.
Brianna.
So while we're waiting on her Bree to come, I wanted to just tell you guys she started sewing these masks when she did this. She found out there was a problem in the world. So she said, "Hey, let me be a help." And she started sewing masks for people and then selling them. So you definitely want to take any kind of talents or gifts or skills that you have and use them to help solve problems. And you will make money like this young lady. And how old is Bree right now?
She is 16. So here she
Okay,
is.
16 years old. And not only is she doing that, so she's getting ready to start doing something else with us. And so welcome, Bree. Hi.
Hi.
Isn't she beautiful, you guys?
Oh, there we go.
So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing this summer with the youth.
Well, I really don't know right now. But I'm continuing to make masks for people and travel bags and like headbands. Anything really anybody needs, I'll make.
Okay, so how much are you selling your travel bags and different things for?
Travel bags are how much are they? I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
16. She's been doing so many masks that she hasn't been doing travel bags for a while. So yeah, if you guys are interested in travel bags, get her back up and going doing those travel bags. So yeah, a
Okay.
medium was 16, a large was 25.
And
And
then
what about your
the
masks, Bree? How much are your masks?
$10.
Okay, $10. Do you have any samples Mom can go grab for you right quick so we can see?
Yeah.
Yay. So this is great. Now, Bree, how long have you been sewing?
Well, I just started this year. I took a sewing class at school, and then I learned pretty fast, so I was like, I'm gonna just run with it.
This is so cool. So I know, like when we were in school, we had to take homemaking, so we had to do sewing, and like sometimes kids are like, I don't want to do this kind of thing. But I love that fact that you took one thing that you learned from school and you applied it in the world to help you make money now while you're still in school, right?
Yeah.
So what are you, like a sophomore in high school, getting ready to be a junior?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. I already got that business going. Now, Bree, what else is on the rise? I heard you're pretty creative in all areas here. Have you been painting? What's going
Yeah, I've
on?
been painting because I was like, it really started just like for fun with a friend, and then I was like, oh, this is actually fun. So I had an extra canvas, so I was like, I'm gonna just think of something, and then I was like looking on Pinterest, and then I came across the creation of Adam, where the two hands are reaching for each other. So I started on that, and all I have to do now is really like shade in the hands.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, who knows? You might start leading the class, doing one of those virtual painting, and they can bring their own whatever they drink kind of thing, or pizza party online, and just charge the kids a few amounts of dollars to enter in there. What do you think about that?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you can make some money. Now make sure I get my cut because I came up with the idea.
Okay, these are the masks. This is
Nice. KU. All
And
right.
then this is a camo mask.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the ones right now because like I'm have to go ship some off, so they're already in packages.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you
You're
the best
welcome.
in everything that you're getting ready to start doing. And don't forget me, girl, when you start those painting classes, like I want to be in there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Marilyn. We appreciate you sharing Bree with us for a little bit. We
No
appreciate all
problem.
the tips that we got. Please don't forget about Oscar, you guys. So the first tip I got for the day was order. Put God first. Okay. The second tip I got was S, the stewardship. And the third tip was about capacity and boundaries. And the fourth tip was about accountability. Be accountable. And the last one is ARA for required. All these things are required. We want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you so much to my special guest that I love dearly. Yeah, I want to say accountability partner slash prayer partner slash go to girl partner. All of
Everything. You're
But
truly a
guys, if
blessing.
you guys do have some youth and they are, thinking about starting their own business, or they want to, this is giving them something great to do in the summertime. They can do it from home or anywhere they are. So if they at Aunt Jody's house or their cousin's house spend the night,
Hmm.
they can jump online, and this gives them also something to be accountable for every day. Well, every day as long as the program lasts. But not only that, then it gives them something to look forward to. It gives them, it'll spark ideas, in their head of things that they can do and teach them some stability in how to be accountable with that money and make that money work for them. I'm all about make the money work for you. Come up with some ways of some passive
Absolutely.
income so while they're sleeping, that money is working for them. Okay, so I'm your host, Tracy Williams. Thank you much. We love you all. Peace out.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Yay.